Genuine question. How are you feeling? How are you doing? We are closing in on the 5th month of 2023. And let me tell you, life has never lifed like it has lifed in this year. I am just about done. Let's get to 2024 because we're... And I'm going to start with an apology because this episode is coming in a little later than anticipated. It's coming in the afternoon, evening of Monday, when usually you're used to waking up to your episode on Monday morning. I am very sorry because, as I have said, there is no one in this life. Life is showing fire without smoke, like I, Olive Orawo, the daughter of Orawo. Yeah. It's not easy. It's not easy. But with that, welcome to another episode of the In All Honesty podcast. My fabulous name is Olive Orawo, and I would like to remind you that there are partnership opportunities on this podcast. If you are watching on YouTube, you can have product placement on my set. If you are listening in from other streaming platforms, you have the chance to partner with me and sponsor an episode or a season. You can run an advertisement on this podcast, and you can also have me mention your service or product on this podcast. So reach out to me through the contacts on your screen or in the description. And with that said, I asked you, what are some of the things that you are doing? Or rather, it's second to nature. It's literally reflex. You can't think of your life without doing these things. But you developed these particular characteristics as defense to something or coping with something. So I will remind you that on Thursdays, I do ask these questions on my social media. It's a prompt so that then you get to contribute and we have these beautiful conversations. So when I asked this, I did not know that it was going to be a heavy episode. I just thought, okay, this is a light one. Let's laugh about it. But then when the responses came in, I was triggered. I was thoroughly triggered. But I will get straight into the responses I got directly to my prompt. But this one didn't have an overwhelming number of responses. I didn't even get any letters. So I guess it was light, heavy. It was pretty average. But I will get to the responses. I asked you, what's that thing you do that began as coping or defense? And it is literally reflex or second to nature for you. And someone says, everything in my life right now, yo. Okay, I said you're like that. I had myself. I'm from watching Young, Rich and Famous. So I'm picking up South African accents. Okay. So everything in my life right now. Whoo! That sounds like a lot. But my thinking or my guess would be that you are right now going through a survival phase in your life. You know, survival is when the bills need to get paid or you're working in desperation towards something. So everything in your life is in survival. You can't remember life when life was just life, when you could wake up and think of something that was not, what do I need to do today to achieve this particular target, right? So I think if you are in survival mode, it is very easy for every aspect of your life to be on survival. Like, I don't know, it's life for you. It's every day and waking up and choosing to stay alive and finding ways of staying alive. So I hope it gets better for you. I really hope it does. Someone else says, masturbating. Sorry, but you asked. I'm not judging. Why are you bombasting me? I'm not judging, but I don't know what it is you were responding to with masturbation. That would be interesting to learn. But anyway, is it an addiction? Is it something you want to see a specialist about? If it's just normal masturbation, we all touch ourselves, please. It's okay. Move on with life. Something else. Someone says, silence Jew, it's illegal to kill. I guess this is when someone has done something to you and you're just like, I want to say, but I will not say. I want to do, but I do not like jail. So I will hold my peace. I would really, really understand that. Anger management, I guess. Someone else says sleep. I was triggered when I saw this because let me tell you, when I'm going through something, I just sleep. So Over the past couple of years, I have been studying who I am. I've been very intentional in my self-awareness journey. And I then realized on days when I'm very sleepy are days when I'm dealing with stress or something negative. So I didn't know that before because I suffer from insomnia. I don't have sleep. I've always survived on 2 hours of sleep every day. But then when it gets to a point where at daytime I'm asleep, at night I'm asleep, I'm lying on the couch, I sleep. I just know, okay, yes, there's something here I'm dealing with. I need to figure out because it's affecting my mentals. So I do understand when sleeping is your way of escape. Very, very understandable. Someone else says, eat cake. Yes. People who resort to eating when dealing with something negative, it is very common. And all the people I know are actually sweet tooth. So yes, they actually eat sweet things like cake. And I know over time people just develop a certain love for cake, or you just wake up and eat cake without even thinking that, why am I eating cake? Maybe it's because, yeah. So I would understand eating cake. It's common. People eat all sorts of things. It just depends on what someone will land on. Someone else says, crying and sleeping too. I just shut down. As I have explained, this is exactly my process. What's different is that in a couple of years now, I haven't cried over negative feelings. And I think I got worried the other day. I was just like, am I a monster? But sleeping, I do sleep. I when I'm feeling disappointed, any sort of negative feeling, I sleep. And this person mentioned something interesting. I just shut down. Shut down is a very important word for us who deal like this. I swear, I don't even need to cue it. If something happens to me right now and I'm feeling a negative emotion, my eyes get drowsy immediately. Like my body shuts down by itself. I don't have to do it. And yeah, it's very interesting to see that there's actually someone else who understands exactly what I mean. Someone else says, getting over stuff way too fast. Now I can't remember people's names after 2 minutes. Men Kwanzaa. You get over people like this. And negative emotions. I think, okay, I don't know what the backstory is, but for me, I have a similar trait. And mine came from survival mode. At that point when at the point I remember I'd survived suicide and, you are just here now. And I'm thinking, if I have to leave, man, I have to leave well. So every day you're on survival. Every day you have to find food. Every day you have to find money for rent. Every day and you get into survival through, like your whole life is survival, that you wake up and you don't have time to mourn. You don't have time to process anything. You just take up what comes. What is positive, we take. What is negative, we move. So you're in the process like that. Your boyfriend breaks up with you. You have no time. You're moving because tomorrow we need to find money and no one cares whether my boyfriend has left me. You get fired from a job or you get rejected from a particular application. You shelve it, move. So there is no point where you're actually processing the negative things that are happening to you. You just have to find money for the next day. You have to find money to feed yourself the next day. And yeah, so it just got to a point where you just get over people. Get over people. And also, I think it also comes from multiple disappointments from human beings where you're just like, I can't. Object permanence does not exist. Someone else says, saving money. Sometimes I feel like it made me a miser, honestly. Yes, if you start saving money, you might be at the verge of being mean to yourself. So you have to strike a very good balance between saving money and being mean. Because then I have met people in my life who had money, yes, and they had this notion where I have to save. Millionaires said you need to save money. Millionaires said you need to buy cheaper things. So these people, I remember the first interesting person I ever met who was like this. We were getting paid the same amount of money. He was single as well. I was single. We lived by ourselves. We lived I don't know if his house was more expensive. I do not think so, because I lived in a bedsitter. He lived in a single room. That should have been cheaper than my house. But this guy would literally not even eat lunch. He'd just be saving money. And the problem is that you're saving money under the mattress or in a bank account. It's not gaining interest. Like, it's not a wise way of saving money, but you've come to believe that saving money is the right thing to do. And I can understand. Then you become a miser. Over time, you can't buy clothes worth 500. You can't buy shoes worth. You're just like, everything is waste of money. So I hope you strike a balance soon. But saving money is a good tradition and culture that you should have. But you will have to work towards striking a balance. And I really do understand what you mean. Someone else says silent treatment. Whew. We have an entire episode of how I moved in with my ex-boyfriend and I could not process negative emotions. And the only way I knew how to deal with it is just go, mom. I'm just zilch. Nothing. So it is an unhealthy way of dealing with people, especially loved ones. So I hope you find a way to get better at articulating what you're feeling so that the people around you don't feel like shit. Because honestly, that's what silent treatment makes you feel like. Someone would rather shout at you than just ignore your existence. So I do understand how it could be your daily life. Someone does something to you and you just go, silence. I could understand. Someone else says, staring in the eyes of those I'm afraid of, they think I'm mad, confident, and serious. I think I'll start using this trick with my anxious tummy, because eye contact for me has been such a struggle for such a long time. And I have such big eyes that if I look away from you, you can tell immediately that my vision has shifted. So this is such a good trick. I'm going to try it. Every time I feel imposter syndrome, I'm going to look in the eyes of that person who is intimidating me. I think that's a brilliant one. Someone else says, reading. This is very, very common. You will be surprised. I also resorted to reading when I was younger. It was an escape from reality. So I don't know why reading for you is something that you do now more often, because what you were trying to deal with. But for me, reading, I realized when I moved into my own house, I stopped reading as much. I guess then all the walls came down. There's nothing I needed to run away from. It's now a safe space. It's now my house. It's now, I think, reading. That's why I've always asked myself, how come I don't read as much as I used to? And I think the most recent epiphany was maybe because now you don't need to get away from, you've set your life, you've set up your own life. So you don't need to escape from anything. I think so. I don't know. Anyway, someone else says, my life revolves around my job, helps me fill the void in my life. Need to get out of this though. Yes, you do. We are not even negotiating about that. We do not fill the void in our lives with jobs. We do it with, I don't know, something else. We do it with travel. We do it with a new hobby. We do not bury ourselves into work, because we know the capitalist system does not care for you. It's just happy that you're emotionally and mentally damaged and therefore can give them more. So I hope you find other things to do and other ways to cope, and you can detach yourself from work. I know workaholics, but as I said in the last episode, if you're a workaholic, find something else to do that serves you. So when you're not working for your workplace, you're still working, but working for something that serves you. If it's a garden in your house, if it's potted plants, if it's a pet, I don't know, if it's walking, if it's getting a new hobby, cycling, you will still work, but at least you're working for something that's yours. Okay? I hope you find resolve for that. Someone else says, hyper independence, munipe antidote. Must have my own money. Si ombi. Where will we get an antidote for you? And I think we also have an episode in season 2 for hyper independence. Have I covered all the mental wellness topics, guys? Yes, hyper independence is very, very common, especially dealing with disappointments from people. So you become this self-sufficient person. And I really do understand. When I said I have a plan A, a plan B, and a plan B for plan B, it's because, if I dare lean on anyone else's understanding, I have been disappointed before. And so now I just try and cushion that fall for myself. So I would understand hyper independence. Antidote is for you to intentionally let other people take the lead. Intentionally let other people take the lead. As I had mentioned in another episode, that now I started training myself to just let someone else reach for the bill. I don't need to reach for the bill anymore. I'll go out with people. So that's the first thing I started with, because it was always such an area of hyper anxiety, because every time I went out and ate with people, and especially if it's people that I don't know, I like eating with friends because I don't know. Whoever will pay. If they want the money back, they'll say. So with friends, it's easy. But going out with people, let's say you're dating someone, or just if a friend brings on someone who's new, there was a lot of anxiety around, who's going to pay the check? Always reaching out for the check. And as I have said, being someone who's a giver and being the motherly figure in most groups, you find yourself always taking care of grown-ups. So you'll find yourself always paying the bills. You'll find yourself always trying to figure out who gets home safe. You'll always try, you'll take up a very motherly role to people who are literally your age mates. So hyper independence is not a good thing. I swear it's not a good. It's nice to have it tucked in your belt. When you need it, you can pull it up. But you don't need to be on survival and on the lookout throughout. Here is me giving you advice. I wish I could use my own advice. I'm also trying. We are in this together. Someone else says, ghosting is magic. Ghostbusters. Yeah, I remember that cartoon. Anyway, ghosting is magic. I don't know if I ghost people. I just know I detach from people very easily. And I ignore texts, calls, conversations very easily. I feel nothing when I just ignore. But I don't know if that's what ghosting is. Is it? But I don't know. Everyone has always been so touchy about ghosting. I don't know if what I'm doing is ghosting. I don't know. But if it's magic, I guess it is. It is. Right? It is. Someone else says crying. Yes, crying is very important for you to figure out ways of crying helps. It just lets it all out. Some of the things I was laughing at is that the things you need to do when you're feeling a negative emotion, it does not solve the problem, but your heart feels lighter. And we do not care. If our heart feels lighter, we do not care. We cry. We scream if we have to. We break glasses if we have to. It feels better. It doesn't solve the problem, but it feels better. From there on, we can now say, Hausa, and now move on to what might be the solution of this problem. Someone else says smoking weed. It is, this is, I don't want to say common, but I know quite a number of people who just wake up to a blunt. And there's a friend of mine that I was with, and he said he needs a blunt. And I was like, you just, you smoked in the morning, you should be fine. And when, I think I was confident in telling him that because he said he's not addicted. So I told him, are you addicted to weed? And he said, no, I am not addicted to anything. So then we were eating. We were supposed to eat. We've ordered food. And he eats one spoon and just stays with it in his mouth for a very long time and struggles to swallow it. And he's just like, when I've not smoked weed, I can't taste food. And I'm bombasting, side-eyeing this nigger. And I was like, how is that not an addiction, baby? So I don't know. About smoking weed, I'm not a smoker myself. I hate anything smoke. Maybe it's PTSD from the three stone. You know, Africans. I don't know if it's in every community. The fireplace with 3 stones where you cook. What's it called? That cooker. It's 3 stones, and then you put firewood, and then you put your so that's what we cooked with back at my mom's country home, my parents' country home. Back in the day, well, now they've improved. They've bought things. They are now civilized. But that's what we cooked with when we were growing up. That's where I was taught how to cook ugali, a maize meal in Kenya, and the smoke. I think from that moment, I've just hated smoke. From cooking from that 3 stone cooker to date, I do not like smoke. If I need to take drugs, it better be in something I can eat or drink. I am not smoking. I know. Anyway, smoking weed. If it's something you need to do every day, I know that it is very common right now. I know quite a number of people who just wake up to a blunt first thing in the morning. So I honestly don't know what to think about it. I've never judged my friends who do it. I don't know whether it's a way of coping. To me, when I see them do that, to me, it's just the way I wake up and drink water. I don't think about it. So anyway, and what was it that you started taking weed for? What were you coping with, or what were you defending yourself from? Yeah, that's also something interesting I'd like to learn. Someone else says, talking to myself to get myself to calm down and not cry, and listening to music with a lot of cussing. It helps me calm down. So talking to yourself, that should help you calm down. It should help you calm down. That, I don't know. Then you must be a very different person from me. Because if I'm going through something and I dare go to the voices in my head, I swear we're going to jump off the balcony. It's going to be bad. We do not consult ourselves in high tension situations. But I'm glad that this works for you. It helps you to calm down, and listening to cuss songs, music with a lot of cussing. I feel this is very, very interesting. I feel it is your version of my poetry. So when back when I used to get angry a lot, I would get angry and then I'd write my feelings with so much anger. I'd write everything I'm feeling. If I feel like calling you a cow, I'd write, you're a cow. And then I would tear up the pages. And then it just made me feel better. So I guess that's what listening to music where people are cursing helps you. I'm happy. I'm happy that this one works for you, especially talking to yourself. I think that's a very, very beautiful thing to have. Someone else says, knowing a romantic relationship won't last as long, therefore not being disappointed when it ends. I know this one because I have mentioned in a previous podcast that I have never, when I get into a relationship, when I start dating someone, in my head, I never see the long-term picture of that relation. In my head, I have never, ever pictured what this would look like in 3-6 months. I just go with the vibe. So usually when there's a breakup, my life just moves. I don't know. Maybe you and I should sit down and figure out whether this is unhealthy or it's something we can just continue with. Because because you just know this nigga will be out of here in a few. So when they leave, you're just like, oh, you stayed a little longer than I thought. But anyway, yeah. Someone else says, I don't express my emotions to my partners. It's bad, Olive. I'm unlearning that now. I really do get you. I have emotional detachment from humans generally. So people find me to be very open. You listen to all my podcasts and you will literally, there is nothing, if you've listened to my podcast from season 1, there is nothing you do not know about me. But somehow, there's a lot that you just don't know about me. I don't know how it happens. I'm very enclosed, especially with my emotions. And I don't share a lot, even with friends, even with romantic partners. With romantic partners, I started to improve because I needed to work on my communication skills, and I also needed to draw boundaries. So I started with people I was pursuing romantically. So when someone is new, I have to tell them, I do not take this. I do not take this. I like this. I do not like that. So I had to train myself and find the courage to just articulate what I am feeling. Expressing emotions, I think it's also I still struggle with it to date. I could love people with all my heart, and I express love in different ways. I love gifting. I would love to do something for you. If you were in need of help and you called me, I will love to come and help you with that thing. Even small things like moving houses. Even small things like coming to fold your clothes and arranging them nicely. Those are all acts of love from me, but it's very difficult for me to just like hug and kiss and call and say, hey, I don't know. I don't know, guys. You are unlearning that now. I am happy for you. Please tell me the progress and tell me what worked for you. We'll see if I can Control C, Control V. Someone else says being sarcastic. I do host another podcast called Just Another Podcast 254 with my friend Aloma Abagi. Let me tell you, Aloma Abagi is so damn sarcastic. He does not realize it. He could subconsciously respond to something and does not realize how sarcastic his statement was. I don't know where he built it up from, but I'm just like... I guess it's a way of coping or defending yourself from something. But I know extremely sarcastic people. And sometimes it catches them off guard, because sometimes you'll tell them, sometimes you're shopping with someone and you go, oh, hello, sunshine. I want this cup. And, oh, it's such a cute cup. And your friend will say something like, yellow is cute. And you're just like, okay. So yes, sarcasm is a way of coping. It is a way of coping. It's sort of coping with humor, I think. But anyway, anywho, someone else says, watching you, of course. I make it to your daily life. I'm second to nature. I love it. Thank you very much. That is such a beautiful compliment. And someone else says, reading at 9 years old. I am an addict. I am an addict now. I was trying to block family chaos. I've mentioned, yes, reading was an escape for a couple of people, especially people who had struggle at home. Reading bore you into a different world. But it's so surreal that if someone called you and you looked up from a page, you'd literally snap back into real life. Literally, you transition realms when you're reading. So yes, I do understand this. It began as getting away from chaos that what you were experiencing with your family. But then over time, it just became part of you. You just read. I hope you've worked on, you're doing better now. I hope you're in a healthier space with your family, mentally, even for the things that happened at that time. But I don't know if reading is a bad thing. Is it a bad thing if it's if it's something you used to cope? Someone else says, watching while doing everything else. Wanted to escape reality. Now I just love it. I do it to relax. I guess watching TV. Very interesting. I think it's the same as reading, where you just want to get away from everything. And movies and series just take you into a whole new world. And no one wants to deal with this world. And something similar to this for me is I stopped watching news. At the time when I was depressed, I was suicidal, and I realized literally 90% of my problems was because after I've dealt with all the humans that I needed to deal with who were shitty in my life, I still would then sit down at 9 p.m. and watch news about how shittier humans are out there. So it was a lot on my body. And for self-preservation, I just stopped watching the news. And for people who knew me right up to around 2017, they'd be very surprised, because I even bought my TV before I bought my couch, because I took up the tradition from my dad to watch the 9 p.m. news. So I studied journalism. So it was even way further emphasized for me. I could not miss the 9 p.m. news bulletin. And I used to compare. Literally, I can watch this today and then watch I'd switch between different media houses to see how they're reporting, who's reporting what about this particular story. I was invested in watching the news. And then it got to a point where I was just like, most of the time I feel like shit because I am consuming shit. So no, I don't want to do that. For self-preservation, I stopped watching the news, and it became so normal for me that right now, if I don't come across something that strikes my interest on, say, the social media platforms, I will never know what's happening around the world. Literally, a curfew can be announced right now and I will not know. If it's not on social media, I will not go look for what's happening around the world. Sometimes I get to see what's happening around the world because of my job. Working in SEO, you have to figure out what's happening to cover the news and all that. But personally, I don't care if this country burns down. No. I am not dealing with other realities. This reality is too much and I'm trying to escape from it. So yes, I do understand if you needed to watch to get away from reality. Someone else says, shutting down when someone is upset with me, and people pleasing. People pleasing, we all developed it because we had, okay, not we all, but most of us who are people pleasers developed it to survive or seeking validation from our guardians or the people who took care of us when we were kids. So as a grown-up, you need to unlearn that, because it is a characteristic that will be taken advantage of by very many people. And not all humans are nice people. So if you are a people pleaser, please intentionally work towards being very assertive and as someone of your own self and finding validation within yourself, because it is something that will be used by so many people. Your friends, your employers, your family, they will use people pleasing against you. You will bend over backwards for people who will not even dare squat for you. Okay. So on people pleasing, I think you'll have to work on it. Shutting down when someone is upset with you, I don't know whether it's unhealthy. For me, I said I sleep. I don't know whether it's unhealthy. People who shut down and sleep when something negative comes, please let us hold a forum and see if it should be normal, if it's something we should add to the list of things we're working on, or should we just go on with our lives. Someone else says, read. Again, reading coming up again. So reading was a way of escaping a lot of things. And let me tell you, reading, I miss those days when I read, because I miss the feeling of traveling to another world. And then when the book ends and you snap back to this, like that hangover that you have over books, I miss it so much. I don't read as much right now, and I wish I could, because I miss that feeling of teleporting to a completely new world. So yeah, reading. Someone else says, zoning out to avoid conflict or being triggered. I do it so seamlessly these days. So this is something that a friend of mine also does, and she doesn't even know when she's doing it. Sometimes she's doing it subconsciously, where she just zones out but continues to interact with this person she has zoned out from. So we could be in a cab and the cab driver is going on and on and on, and she could be responding, But if you then asked her, what exactly did that guy say? He's just like, I wasn't there. I wasn't listening at all. I literally was not there. But somehow she can divide her brain to cue herself to respond to this person when this person takes a pose, while her mental is not there at all. I don't know. So I was really mad at her at some point I was just like, can you train yourself not to respond? Because I hate blubber. I hate blubber. So you can imagine when you're responding to someone who thinks they're making a point and they just go on and on and on and on, and my ears cannot take it anymore, because I usually just tell people, shut up, I am not listening to you. Or I will wear my earphones to tell them, yo, I'm not listening to you. Or I will just tell them, no, I do not want to talk and I do not want to listen to you. So I hate blubber. So when I'm with her, I'm just like, please, please, please don't zone out while responding to this person. I don't want to listen to him, because then he thinks you're listening to him. And it will be very weird for me to tell a third person, stop talking, that girl is not listening. So yes, I do understand the zoning out. I never in my life thought about it, because even in class, there were people who were responsive. You remember when you were in school, there were people who were responsive, but it did not show in assignments or understanding of what the teacher had talked about. So I hadn't thought about it until, when I met my friend, and I was just like, so you zone out, but still you are responsive. If I zone out, I'm gone, never to return. So I would understand zoning out so that you don't feel triggered, and also just to generally avoid conflict. Yeah, I don't know. Maybe it's not a bad thing. If you have a friend like me who doesn't like people who are blabbering because you're responding, maybe that's the only reason to work on it. But if it works, I mean, so far you've not lost anything. Someone else says, my sense of humor, call me Chandler Bing or whatever. I used humor to cope for a very long time. And then I started to be very self-aware. I started to be very intentional with being confident in myself, with loving myself. So then now humor is literally a good thing for me. I don't use humor to mask anything. I just use humor because I like humor. So now I'm in a very good space with humor. But sense of humor, it's not a healthy thing. You'll have to find a very good balance. Even Chandler himself is dealing with a lot. Yeah. Because what happens is that people who are very humorous, people don't consider them humans. So you tend to get second grade treatment. People consider you the person who doesn't get hurt. People consider you the person who they can go to for everything. People consider you the cup that always pours and they never refill. So be very careful about being the person who copes with humor. You'll always be the go-lucky person, but it's detrimental to your mental health. With time, you'll feel the weight. So I hope you learn how to strike a balance with your humor, and when it's a happy thing, I hope you get to strike the balance. Someone else says, I am hyper independent and it is exhausting. Started as coping from disappointment. We have talked about hyper independence. Yes. Hyper independence is so hard, but from my own experience, yes, it is exhausting, and I would like you to start being more intentional about not always being the mother hen, about not always reaching out for the bill. That's how I began. I was extremely hyper independent because of my moving to the city where I had no one. And then there was a time when there was just constant disappointments. Humans were being shitty left, right, and center. So then I became completely self-sufficient. Everything I wanted, I made sure I could find within myself. But then what happens is that you're always on vigil. You never have the time to also relax and be taken care of. So just also train yourself to let go. Train yourself to learn. Me, the first thing I started doing, how I started practicing, was going out on dates and going out with people and not being the first to reach out for the bill. I'll just chill. Let other people pay it also. Let other people also do whatever. Because then if you take up the mother hen role, if you're always the one who's always organized, the one who always has a plan B, what happens is that people just let you be you. And it's exhausting because then everyone then relies on you, because Olive is always the one who has the plan. Olive is always the one who knows what to do. So I hope you get to strike a balance as well with yourself. You can have the hyper independence, keep it in your belt. If you need it, take it out. But you don't need to always put it out as defense for yourself. I know. It takes time. You will work on it. No worries. Someone else says, make people laugh. Again, here comes the humor. Chandler Bing. You will have to strike a balance, because then humans just think you're the source of energy that we go to, the oasis that never runs out. So be very careful about striking a balance when it comes to humor. People will assume you've changed, of course. People think I've changed all the time. And I'm just like, no, you still know me as a very happy person. But you're just thinking I've changed just because this one situation, you've done something negative and I've called you out on it. And now you're just like, oh, you've changed. Why? Because earlier on I'd laugh about it and make a sarcastic joke. Yeah, so learn to strike a balance. And I hope it works out for you. Someone else says, being passive aggressive, I will literally act like I have never met this person before. Lol. Passive aggressive is very weird to me. Passive aggressive is, I've always interpreted passive aggressive as childishness. And I am so sorry, but I know it's also a way of like dealing with your thing. It's also your method and your process. I don't know if it's a bad or a good thing. Maybe, I don't know. I'm not passive aggressive. I've never had to deal with passive aggressiveness. I just have, if I meet you and I don't like you, I'll just tell you, oh, why are you greeting me and the way you treated me like shit when we were working at the so yeah, maybe passive. But I have had situations where I've seen someone I know, they came up to me, they had treated me badly somewhere else, and I just went like, who are you again? Oh, where from? Ah, okay, it's starting to ring a bell. I don't remember, but it's starting to ring a bell. Yeah, I have done that before, but it's for people who really, really deserve it. Someone else says, keeping my phone on silent. D&Ds, come. We are meeting behind the tent. My phone is, I don't even know what ringtone is literally on my phone. I have no idea. It's been years of my phone just being on silent. And my sister moved to Nairobi, I think about a year ago, no, even less than a year ago. And I'm just learning to starting to learn how to have my phone next to me, because she calls, because she needs help with the city. It's a new city that's full of con people. So I am learning to be around my phone and to answer calls. And it's a lot for me because my phone has always been on D&D. I will use it when I want it. I will get back to you when I need to. I used to have, in my former house, I would leave my phone in the living room and sleep in the bedroom. Right now, I don't sleep with my phone on my bed. If I need to sleep, I will place the phone on my side table. I don't know. Yeah. But silent phones. Is it so bad? I mean, I'm not a doctor or a police, but yeah, people might reach you for help and you could be the only person they can reach for help. So yeah, I don't know. We'll see where to balance. But really, I don't even have an alarm clock. That's how much I hate listening to anything ring. Anyway, someone else says, this is the last person, people pleasing. Yes. People pleasing is a bitch. Learn to strike a balance. You don't even need to strike a balance. You just need to stop being a people pleaser. You don't even need to strike a balance with being people pleasers, because people pleasers will always attract users. And let me tell you, users don't care. They don't give a damn. They don't give a damn. Okay, let me read a response I got. So a longer response I just got one. Someone says, I journal a lot, but always tear the pages anytime I feel much better, because I have mad anxiety that my journal could fall in the wrong hands. Yet I live alone. I understand. I also stress eat. Even when I'm having a bad day, my solution is just food, especially ice cream. I have a plan A, B, and C, and I will write them down on my journal. Example, if we plan to meet on this day, I'll plan ahead and other activities I can do instead, and a written excuse for if I decide to cancel. Sometimes I even rehearse it in the mirror. Lol. So you are basically just talking about your entire lifestyle, and you are a very anxious person. Let me tell you, anxiety is just a bitch. Anxiety is just a bitch. I don't know even where you're supposed to start with this, but yes, journaling is very therapeutic for me, at least. When I journal, I feel way better, especially when you tear the pages and then throw them away. It feels way better. I hear that people who burn the pages, and apparently for them, it feels really good as well. So journaling is very grounding for me. But I think also the aspect of anxiety comes in where you live alone and you also feel like someone will find my journal. Who will? But I do understand. Your life is just basically very different aspects of anxiety. And try and strike a balance, because as much as I have anxiety, as much as I have social anxiety, as much as I am an introvert, I work in an industry where I cannot get ahead unless I am networked. So there's a lot of putting myself out there, and I have to strike a balance. If I have to go out 2 days and just interact with people and then completely burn out and sleep for a whole day, not talk to anyone and switch off my phone, then that's what I gotta do. But you'll have to find a balance. But it's okay. You're coping. You've come this far. You'll be fine. Don't worry. And you're not the only one going through it. As I have described all the different responses that I've gotten, you've realized that there's something I have in common as well with you. So yeah, I hope it gets better. So, some of the pointers that I had for myself, some of the responses covered them. I had hyper independence. There's one, the meme that actually triggered this conversation. The meme said, I stopped caring as a coping mechanism, and now I just don't care about shit. And this is so true. Let me tell you, I feel nothing. These days I'm just chilled. Okay, I get anxious about little things. I mean, what am I going to wear to this event? How am I going to meet this person? But let me tell you, there are things I just do not care anymore. I hear there's something you're planning to do. I'm just like, I don't give a shit. I do not care, especially what people are doing. I don't care. I could walk by you taking a dump by the pavement, and I literally just will not care. I'll just pass by, because what am I supposed to do? So it started as a mechanism for survival, so that you can concentrate on something that's going to give you a reward. But then over time, you just realized if this world burnt down, you'd just be fine. There's a friend of mine who keeps saying, I just want to talk to you because I just want to be reminded that I should not care. That's all. I just need to be reminded that I should not care. Well, it could get dangerous. It could get to levels of not caring that is extremely dangerous. But just, again, you have to strike a balance with everything. We've talked about all the negative things, but here is one thing that is now something that's second to nature for me. And it's something that began as, is it a coping mechanism? Or is it self-defense? I don't know. This was a healthy sense of self-awareness and confidence. So after I had been hurt so many times, I got to a point and I realized, why am I building up walls for everything? So now I can't even interact with people genuinely. I can't make genuine friends. I can't have good experiences. Why? Because I'm always on defense. When you're going to meet A, you're thinking, okay, what if A does B? So you've put up a defense for B. What if A does C? You've put up so your whole life is just you on defense mode, and you're not even in the military. So I learned how to just find who I am. It was easier. Find, Olive, what makes you happy? Why did this breakup break you so much? Because you're finding validation from them. Then find validation from yourself. Why did this breakup make you so? Because it was the only person who reminded me I'm beautiful. Okay, then remind yourself you're beautiful. Tell yourself you're beautiful. Believe you're beautiful. So then this journey that I started on as coping with a heartbreak and also trying to make myself better for people who will interact with me in the future got me in a really good space. And now just general awareness of the things I'm feeling, who I am, what I want. And it's a good feeling. I wake up every day and I live like this. It's a lifestyle now. I don't think about it, what I'm feeling today. Do I feel confident? Do I want to be confident? Right now, I just wake up confident. I just wake up feeling good. I just wake up happy. I just wake up knowing what I want and things that are non-negotiables for me. It's literally default for me right now. So yeah, that brings us to the end of this beautiful episode that I thought would not be heavy, but yeah, you guys have a way of making everything worth the while. So I am really happy. Thank you so much for contributing. I will tell you again, look out for my posts on social media. That is Instagram, TikTok, and Facebook. I post across those 3 platforms. I post a prompt, and there you can be able to tell what we're talking about the next week. And if it's something that you want to contribute or share your story about, then you can send it in, and I am more than happy to talk about it. So until next week, remember that there's partnership opportunities on this podcast. You can have product placement on YouTube. On other streaming sites, you can sponsor an episode. You can sponsor a season. I was trying to remember the name. An episode or a season. You can have a mention on episodes. You can also run an advertisement on episodes. But until next time, my fabulous name is Oliver Rao, and this has been another episode of the In All Honesty podcast. Bye.